Okay, it's the end of the session. I'm here with Captain, and Captain's breaking one of his rules. He's not allowed to be on the furniture, but this is his roadmap to success, and it looks better when I have a dog in the picture with me. So basically, one of the rules one of the things I talked about was incorporating some rules and some structure. And one of the rules I suggested is something the guardians don't want him on the furniture anyways. And so we have nice leather couches here, but if we let the dog on it, it's probably going to a puppy is probably going to chew on it, and also got to be rough on wear and tear. So I went over, I showed the guardians how they can teach the dog to go to the dog bed on command, which is basically where the camera's standing. So what I would do is, because he has super esophagus, we want to give him a little bit more affection through attention. But he can have these treats. Now, again, it's better if he gets the treat if he's kind of like in this orientation, and then I can pet him under like this and help everything go down the right way. So what we would do is, the word is condo to go to the dog bed. I like to use fun command words, so the guardian make sure that other words you're coming up with, you come up with a fun command word. So to do this, every time, basically just take a treat, toss it on the dog bed. When he goes and licks it up, say the word condo. Do that a couple times, and eventually you could also leave a toy there. The Guardian has about 10 toys. I suggest you get about 20 more. Go to Amazon or Chewy and get a variety. Make sure you have pull toys, tug toys, a couple plushy toys, but he's probably going to tear the stuffing out of them. They make stuffless toys. I'd recommend getting a couple of those. Also get some nylobones of different flavors and different shapes. Don't get just the skeleton looking ones. You need a couple of those for the biting tips, which we're going to talk about in a sec. But also I have one that's round, kind of looks a little bit like a donut, or at least that shape. I have one that looks like the letter Y. I have one that looks like a Tyrannosaurus, one that's a forearm. Just to have a variety of those will really help. So each day he should find one of those either on the dog bed or in Paris, which is the long-term confinement area that they're going to set up in the dining room. And so this way he gets a reward or something special for going there. Now, if we're just kind of hanging out and he goes and plops down on the dog bed, go over, you can either say condo or go over there and pet him a little bit and say condo. If he's trying to get up on the furniture, I recommend getting X mats. The letter X and M-A-T-S, you can get those on Chewy or Amazon as well. I would get 5 of them, so put one on each cushion on the couch here, one here, and one in the other chair. Anytime a human comes, they just take it and fold it and put it off the side, and you can sit down in the chair as much as you want. The dog will not want to lay down on the chair there. Now, we also want to redirect him there, but one of the guardians is very perceptive. He said, because every time he jumped over the couch, I would drop a treat on the dog bed. Well, he's like, isn't he eventually just going to learn if I go up here that a treat falls over there, which will happen. So every once in a while, we just leave a toy or a treat there. When he leaves the room, when he comes back in, there's a toy there. And so he's going to lay down and chew on it. And again, it's a positive, good thing that happens every time he goes to this dog bed. Now we have a long-term confinement area. I'm going to help the guardian, as soon as we get done filming this, order one on Amazon, and so they can set it up. Now this is going to be 8 foldable panels, and you can basically put it up. They're going to have to rearrange some stuff in the living room or dining room, excuse me. But puppies are going to chew things, and either you can fight and complain and get angry about it, or you can provide them with a safe place to hang out, and that's what the puppy or the long-term confinement area is. Here you go, buddy. Here, let's get the nose up when you get it though. There you go. And so basically, make sure he only walks in and out of it. The long-term confinement area should be where he sleeps, for feeding, we probably could feed him in the kitchen. Normally, I have a feeding trick for that. Probably won't work for him, but because of the esophagus. But he should also sleep in there and be put in there anytime that he can't be, that he's being rambunctious. I'm gonna, let me see. Make sure you get a long mirror. I'm trying to compartmentalize things so it's all in sections. So get one of those mirrors you put on the back of your bedroom door, put it on its side so it's lengthwise on the wall, against the wall. So there's the wall, the mirror, and then the puppy play gate. So that way he sees his reflection over and over again, and it's for reflection doesn't seem something that freaks him out later on in life. That's a problem for a lot of dogs. He should have about 20 toys in that area, and try to not let him take some of those toys out of there. So that way he has more of an impetus to want to stay in there. Now you do want to have toys for him outside here as well, because otherwise he might chew on the furniture. There's a lot of great wood in this place, and he's going to chew a lot of it. But giving him, thank you, buddy. But giving him appropriate chew toys, chew options will be great. Now because he has a super esophagus, and he's also not into, he's not into peanut butter. This is a Kong. These are great ways to keep dogs occupied. So what you can do is, since he's not into peanut butter, and soft food is better for him, is just take his dry kibble, put it in a bowl, put enough water in the bowl so it's floating in about a quarter inch, half inch of water. Let it sit there for about an hour. After an hour, you can dump any remaining food, water out of it, but all that food has now absorbed and it'll kind of puff up like a marshmallow. Well, you can mix it up kind of like mashed potatoes, and then you put it in the Kong here. And I would also take one of these, the chicken liver treats, and put it at the bottom. The Kongs you see is a little hole here. So you put one of these in first, then you fill it up with this stuff. Well, he's got to get through his food to get to that special treat at the bottom. And it's right here. I'm going to keep it in my hand because I want to keep you occupied. But a Kong, and then you can eventually freeze that stuff, freeze a Kong with it in there, and makes it harder for him to get it out of. But this is a great way to preoccupy his time. You're going to stay here, buddy. Okay, let me see. What else did we go over? Well, we went over the toys. The guardian should check with her her vet and see if he could be a dog that could have bully sticks or things along those lines. I don't like using I love nylabones. I don't like using rawhides because they're soaked in bleach, ammonia, and a lot of other nasty chemicals. And because the dogs ingest them, they're not really healthy for them. Now two other things. We had another German Shepherd that passed away. I know you got to hang out a little bit though, buddy. And he passed away. Two types of cancer are two types of food will actually prevent cancer in dogs. One is broccoli florets. One of them is carrots. And so the guardian may want to give him maybe a carrot once a week. Now, hard carrots, the vet doesn't want him to have, so boiled or prepared carrots. And then broccoli florets, I would just take one and just demolish it across the top of his food, and that he'll get it while he eats his dry kibble. But that will help ward off two types of cancer in dogs. I liked giving carrots to dogs for chewing, but for puppies, I should say. But with the mega esophagus, that's not really a good option for him. Let me see. We went over petting with a purpose and passive training. Petting with a purpose is when he comes up, he just basically has been coming up and jumping up on his guardians or mouthing at them for attention. I'm going to go over mouthing in a second. But basically, every time he comes up to them, hang out there, buddy. I know it's tough to look cute on camera. It's hard work for being a puppy. So basically, for petting with a purpose is if he comes up and jumps up on me and I pet him, well, then I'm teaching him that jumping up on a human is the best way to ask for attention. Yes, let me give it you here a slow stroke on your chest. That can be calming. And so instead what I'm going to do when he comes up and he nudges or paws or jumps up on me for attention is I'm going to ask him to sit. Better yet, I'm going to tell him to sit. When he sits, pet him under his chin and say the word sit and nothing else. If he's already sitting, I might ask him to lay down and I'm going to pet him under his chin. I'm going to say the word crash, which is the word the guardian likes. And basically what we're going to do is teach him that the best way to get attention from a human is not to jump up or tell them what to do, but to ask the human politely. And we do that by sitting, coming, laying down, to offering some behavior that we like. The more that we do this, the more dogs are going to be inclined to do this. And eventually, smarty pants, is that dogs are going to come over and sit in front of us to prepay for attention. Hang in there, buddy. I'll tell you what, how about if I tease you a little bit with this? Remember when you're giving them toys? Yeah, that would be great if you could hand me that. For toys, for dogs, if I just give it to them, now this is a high value toy. This is a water buffalo horn, which dogs love. You can see he's really into it. Most toys you want to actually tease the dog with, and I'm going to talk about that when I talk about teething and mouthing and nipping here in a second. But for petting with a purpose, what we want to do, yes, I know, is we want to, here, let's let you chew in on that end. Is redirect the dog into a desired behavior, say the command word, and then you can pet him as long as you want. Now, if somebody comes in the room and sees I'm petting Captain, Captain standing, they might assume that I have forgotten to pet with a purpose. So at that point, they would say paycheck. Somebody says paycheck, I'm going to stop petting, tell the dog to sit. When he sits, pet him under his chin, say the word sit, and I tell the person, I asked the dog to sit before he came in the room, and when he came down the hallway, he stood up, I continued petting him. That's allowed. It is. But it's just a reminder to help us because we won't remember how often we pet without a purpose. Remember, anything your dog is doing when you pet it is what you're specifically rewarding. So if your dog jumps up and you pet it, you're petting it, you're teaching it, that's the way to ask me for attention. The dog mouths you or chews on your arm and you start petting him, chewing on me is the best way to ask for attention. Also, if your dog's fearful or stressed or anxious and you pet it, you'll make it more stressed, fearful, or anxious. So make sure if your dog is stressed, you can lay your hand on the dog and let it know I'm here with you without amplifying it. Now for dogs, any attention itself, and this is going to smell, I'm getting a whiff of it right now. It's going to smell, this is a new one. It'll smell for a couple days. That's okay. After a while, it won't smell quite the same amount. But we want to redirect him into chewing on this stuff, and I'll deal with a little bit of smell for a day or two. So for petting with a purpose, the more we get in a habit of doing that, after a while, he'll start coming and sitting with us to prepay for the attention, because that's the new way to get our attention. Now that leads me to something else, which is the easiest way of training any dog. It's what I call passive training. Passive training is simply waiting for the dog to voluntarily offer you the behavior that you want on their own, organically, and then rewarding them within 3 seconds. I know, buddy. That's a fire engine. You're not a fire dog. You're off duty. Relax. So for passive training, so if he does that, if he kisses me, I'm going to pet him and say kisses. Every time he comes to me, I'm going to pet him and say come. Every time he lays down, I'm going to pet him and say crash. So I'm going to wait for him to do things. Every time he brings you this horn, pet him and say horn. Every time he brings you a Kong, pet him and say Kong. Name all of your toys, and every time he does something voluntarily on his own that we like, we're going to pet him and say whatever that command word is. All right, I'm going to talk about chewing and nipping here in a second, but the reason he's doing this is he may need to actually go potty. So I'm going to go ahead and let his guardians let him down, and she's going to let him outside. Now, while we're talking about this, I'm going to go over potty training tips. So for potty training, what we want to do is come up with a word for potty, and I asked the guardians, nope, and he doesn't want it. He just lay down on the dog bed, that's fine. If I asked what the name or word was for potty, and he didn't have one. And so that's one of the first mistakes people make. So I suggest the word business, and she liked that word. So we're going to use the word business. And he doesn't want to, so I just go ahead and sit down on the couch, on the chair, and just ignore. I think he just wanted to get down. He was done being on camera. All right, so basically what we want to do is the 3 times the dog's most apt to need to go potty is right after waking up, 5 minutes after eating, and 15 minutes after playtime. Now, one of the guardians noticed that it's about 15 minutes for him after eating. And these are standards. They vary for dogs. So I would actually literally do a stopwatch. As soon as he starts eating, do a stopwatch, and then take a note of when he gets done eating, and again, follow the eating instructions, the video above, and then just take it, or just stop it as soon as he stops to eat, or start it as soon as he stops eating, and then see how long it is before he needs to go and figure out what that time frame is. But if you take the dog out, I want the dog in the right place at the right time. It's very natural for them to pee everywhere they are except for where they sleep. So it's unusual for them to hold it. So we have to help them understand that. So putting the dog in the right place when they have to go is half of the battle. So right after waking up, 5 minutes after eating, or whatever the period is, and 15 minutes after playtime. So he gets the zoomies and starts running around. Look at your clock. Okay, it's 3:30. At 3:40, I'm going to take him outside. 15 minutes is probably when I'll need to go, so I'm going to try to beat him to the punch. As soon as I take him outside, I'm going to now. Typically, when a dog wants to go, they're going to kind of sniff. A lot of times they'll sniff in circles, and they kind of do a figure 8 back and forth. So that's kind of an indication that he needs to go. So if you start seeing him sniff, or it's one of those times, take him outside, give him 5 minutes. Most people think that how long the dog is outside has a correlation with him going. It does not. If he doesn't go within 5 minutes, it's not urgent enough for him to go, and he's become distracted. So take him outside, give him 5 minutes to go. Don't tell him potty, potty, potty. Just wait for him to go. As soon as he starts peeing or pooping, within 3 seconds of him starting, we want to say the word business. We're going to say it in a normal tone of voice like that. A lot of people say, business! If you can see the dog off camera, he just perked up and got all excited. So a lot of times we say it's so excited because we're tired of our dog having an accident in the house, and we stop them from completely eliminating or evacuating their bladder. They come inside and have another accident. So as soon as he starts to pee or poop, say the word business once, have a high-value treat. And when he gets done, walk over to him or call him to you, and within 3 seconds of him finishing, pop that treat in his mouth, massage him with his nose up in the air to facilitate the treat going down, but also to make him feel good about it, and say the word business a second time. Not good business, not, oh, Captain, you did a great job of potting outside instead of in the house. The more words we use, the harder it is for puppies to learn. Just say the word business. So where we're associating business, I hear the word business when I'm eliminating, peeing or pooping. And I hear that word every time I pee or poop. And then as soon as I get done, within 3 seconds of finishing, I hear that word again after a treat goes in my mouth. Anytime for the rest of his life, you give him a treat, he get the treat going first, then give him that petting. And for him, always pet him under his chin after you give him a treat, get him used to that. And again, maybe you call it bounty or reward or dividend or whatever you want to say, some word that means pay, just so that he gets used to coming over and having you pet on his chin to help facilitate that nose in the air and keep that super esophagus from becoming a problem. Now, I also like to take my dog out once an hour. And so taking the dog once an hour also puts us in the right place at the right time. If the dog is just kind of sitting and all of a sudden gets up and sprints across the room, not doing zoomies, but gets up and sprints, a lot of times that means they need to poop. And after about a month a couple of weeks of doing this potty, eventually if you think he needs a potty, you say business, and he looks at you like this, it's a no. He's kind of hanging out, you say business, you go, then you know that's a yes. He's bouncing around, he's saying, I recognize that word, and yes, I have to go, let's go outside. Okay, so that's potty training. I also want to go over an exercise journal, but I've been talking about the nipping and biting, and that's a major problem the guardians have, so we're going to talk about that now. Dogs sample with their mouth. It is very normal for them to sample things with their mouth, and they learn to chew and lick us. Now, if you don't like the licking, pull your arm back. As soon as the dog starts licking, it licks again, stand up and cross your arms. You have to let the dog know, starting or stopping, you have 3 seconds to either correct or reward the dog. Most of us focus on giving affections and rewards is how we train dogs, and that's very powerful. It's called positive reinforcement. That's about half of how they learn. The other half is stopping with good timing. So if I'm petting the dog and all of a sudden he starts nibbling me, I stop petting. If you stop with precision, he was giving me a nice belly massage, and as soon as I started chewing on him, he immediately stopped. Now, it happens through enough consistency. Consistency is really important. So every time he touches you with his teeth, you stop petting him. Well, I like the petting. I just want to chew and have you pet me, but if I only get one option, then I'd rather just sit here and let you pet me without chewing on you. Now, what if a dog does chew or mouth you? Well, I have a couple of different options. First of all, I make a yelping sound, a high-pitched voice like I'm a little girl, like, ah! Obviously a little bit more than that. And so you want him to and do this anytime his teeth touch you, even if he's not mouthing or nipping it, accidentally touching you playing tug of war, which is a good game to play. As soon as he touches you with his teeth, drop it and stop playing. But I like playing tug of war. Well, then next time like it without touching the human with their teeth. This is what we call developing bite inhibition. It's probably the most important thing we can teach a dog. He's going to be probably a 100-pound German Shepherd. And somebody who doesn't know any better, he gets out and he jumps up on somebody and mouths them because he's been taught that's the way to ask. Person thinks he's actually trying to bite him. He might kick the dog. Now the dog is angry. That can easily de-escalate or transition into something we don't like. That's why petting with a purpose and path training are so helpful, because dogs just go sit in front of him saying, I'm sitting, time for you to pet me. All right, but right now when he's a puppy, as soon as he mouths you or nips you or teeth touch you, you're going to yelp and retract, cross your arms, look up, and hold still. Don't tell him no. Don't say anything. Become boring. Eventually, he'll jump down. When he jumps down, you can pet him and say the word off or stand or something that means to get down off of a person. That's passive training. So every time he does the thing we want, immediately I'm on you like, why don't I give you attention? As soon as you do things I don't want, I freeze and I stop. Or I move away or whatever the consequence is. After a while, he'll start offering you the desired behaviors because that's what gets your attention, and the undesired behaviors are what stops getting your attention. So for the yelp, the first thing we do is yelp and retract and freeze. If he does it a second time, then what I would do, and if he does it a second time but it's a little bit later, that's okay. I would have all the guardians have an antler or a nylabone, like a skeleton-looking nylabone, in their back pocket at all times. So if he's here and he starts mouthing me, I pull the skeleton out, and if this is dog's head, if I just say to give it to him, he's not going to want it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tap over here, he's going to turn this way. I'm going to tap him over here, he turns that way. I'm going to tap up here, he turns up, down. I'll get him going all around until finally he's like, I kind of teasing him, and then he latches onto the thing. I make him pull about 2 or 3 times, I let go. And he feels like, oh, this is my trophy. And he's going to walk off, probably go to the condo, lay down and chew on his nylabone or the antler or whatever it is. Bully sticks would be something I'd love to see if you can give him. Ask your vet about it because he chews on it, pulls a little piece off and eats it and then chews some more. I'm hoping that that's something that he could have, but we're going to go with whatever the vet says because I am not veterinarian. But basically, for redirecting him to something that's more appropriate, and then he takes the trophy away with him, goes, lays down, and now he's chewing on that, and you've redirected him for chewing on you. The other option I have 2 other options. Because we're going to set up the long-term confinement area, if he goes back to chewing on us, I would get up and walk and go into the long-term confinement area, close the gate behind you, wait a second, so he's in there with you. And actually, you don't even have to wait. Go in there. Once he goes in there, you just turn around and leave and latch the door behind you. Now, if he starts trying to leave immediately, you might want to go in there and hang out a minute. And there probably should be some times you go in the long-term confinement area. Just sit on the floor with him and pet him a little bit while you read a little bit, and he lays down in the kennel or whatever it is. Oh, also for that, attach the walls of the play gate to the kennel. And that way the kennel doesn't take up the space, and the only soft place in there is going to be in the kennel. So get the pillow or whatever's in the kennel, wire the door so it's always open, and then go to Mrs. B's or somewhere, get some laminate flooring, a single continuous piece, lay it on the floor. So if he has an accident in there, it's self-contained. We don't have to worry about it. Okay, going back to the mouthing and nipping. So we practice something called a negative punishment. Negative punishment means to deduct something from the equation. In this case, us. So as soon as you start chewing on me, I'm going to leave the area. Well, he's probably going to chew on the leather couch and other things. That's why we want to take him to the long-term confinement area. So when we leave the area, he's in a safe place. There's everything he can chew in there is appropriate things to chew. And also make sure nothing's near the wall so you can't like pull a drapes through, because otherwise your drapes will be in there shredded. Okay, and so that's one of the other consequences of mouthing and nipping is doing that. Now the last thing is, and also would be going in the long-term confinement area, a lot of times if you yelp and the dog gets more aggressive, you try to redirect and he doesn't care, he gets more aggressive, a lot of times that means the puppy is tired and cranky and needs a nap. That's where you take him to the long-term confinement area, go in there, exit yourself, latch the door, and if he's in there complaining, barking, howling, don't look, don't shush him, nada. Any response from you is going to tell him that it's working and it's going to make him do it more. So when I have him, once I go in here, I'm invisible, but there's a whole bunch of appropriate chew things. And then after a while, he'll sit down and chew on something, and after a while, he'll just kind of lay down and take a bit of a nap. That's what he needs. But if there's distractions and opportunities to chew on things because he's in the living room or he's with the humans, he's going to stay up longer than he needs to. And so putting him in, if he gets really aggressive about it, that's what we're going to do is put him in the long-term confinement area. Okay, what else do we need to go over?
The hissing?
The hissing, okay, yeah. So if he's doing something wrong, I use what I call escalating consequences. I just really went over the first one with the Guardians, which is a hiss. I have 10 hisses. I have a level 1 hiss, which is like a tss, and I have a level 10 hiss, which is more like a and you can't see him, he's off camera, but his ears went up and he got up. Mm-hmm. So I want to have nuance. I need to match or meet his excitement level. So see, if he's at level 4 level of excitement and I hiss at him at level 1, he might not hear it, or if he hears it, he won't respond to it. So I want to hiss at level 4 or level 5, slightly above. Now you want to hiss preferably before he does the wrong thing. I translate the hiss as no, don't do that, or most effectively, don't even think about doing it. So if he's going towards the couch, and I mean, I showed the Guardian several times, he would walk towards this chair. I hissed before he got up here. That worked great. Once he gets up here, the hiss isn't appropriate. At that point, what I would do is I would drop a treat on the dog bed and then have him get down on his own. And when he gets down, use passive training. Every time he gets down, say the word off. So we create a vocabulary. Getting off the furniture is rewardable. Then immediately put your X mat here so he won't get back up on here again. So that's the very first one. The second one I do is I abruptly stand up. Now, as we get a little bit older, I have a little bit difficulty standing up as quickly as I'd like. And some of these are deep couches. It would be hard for me to get up. But for a dog, standing up is your I mean business position. Your authority goes whatever direction your hips and torso are pointing. Right now, my authority is pointing directly at the camera. So when you stand up abruptly, what will happen is the dog's going to take a step back usually. Ooh, he took an action position. What's going on? And then the dog's going to kind of walk around the room. As it does, pivot, keep your feet in place, but pivot your hips and your chest and keep that dog in front of you until it stops moving. It can stand or it can sit, it can lie down. As soon as it stands, sits, or lies down, take 2 steps backwards. Now, I can't demonstrate right now because the camera won't follow me, but if I take 2 steps backwards, is how I ask people to do it, and I see people they go 1, 2, shuffle 3, shuffle 4, shuffle 5, shuffle 6, and then Wonder Woman at the end. Dogs communicate through movement, but they also meander. When they communicate through movement, it's usually a singular, bold, sudden movement, and then a stoppage of movements. So when you stand up abruptly, dogs go, ooh, they're serious. And then as it moves around the room, it's saying, are you talking to me? And you're saying, yes, I'm talking to you because I'm following you wherever you go. As soon as the dog stops moving, stands, sits, or lies down, take 2 steps backwards and only 2 steps. Left foot, right foot, and stop, and pause for 1 second. Then you can go back to doing what you're doing. That's the second way I disagree with unwanted behaviors in dogs. Now, again, the best way is, again, to redirect him, or to disagree before he does the wrong thing. But, sometimes we do have to say no. Now, the long-term confinement area, if he cannot be supervised, you got to go to the bathroom, put him in the long-term confinement area. That's where he needs to be so that he's safe and he doesn't develop bad habits. Most dogs start chewing on the furniture and the drapes and other things because it tastes good, I'm bored, and it gets my guardian's attention. Well, another big problem that we have with puppies is energy. Unfortunately, Guardians live in a townhome and they do not have a fenced-in backyard. And puppy's not very good on a leash. So taking him to our puppy classes will really help because he's going to basically be able to run around for half of that puppy class. He's going to come home pooped. Now, we're also going to have you guys on Facebook. We have a Facebook group for our puppy class. It's a closed group. It's only available for people in our puppy class. Remember to remind Taylor or Lori in your first puppy class, say, hey, I'm having difficulty with Facebook. Can you show me how to do that? So they'll show you how to join the group, and then I'll show you how to take a picture of him. The first picture should be a picture of him, and then, hey, this is Captain. He's 3 months old. He's a German Shepherd. We live in this part of town. We do not have a yard, but we love to come over for play dates. You'll find somebody else, and talk to the people in your class as well. You might find other people that live somewhat nearby and that would be happy to have you come and play in their backyard. They like it because they don't have to leave. You get to play and run down their puppy's energy with your puppy. You like it because you don't have a yard. So you go over there and you burn off your puppy's excess energy. You come back home and you can watch TV in peace. The dog is going to basically do what he's doing right now. He's sleeping on the dog bed because he's pooped. So, so set those two things up. Those will be really great ways to burn energy. But we're going to need other things to do. So I showed the Guardians how to use a laser to get him going up and down the stairs. What I would recommend the Guardians do, go get the little pendant-sized lasers. You can check on Amazon, you can get them there. And get a chain and attach the pendant to the chain. So as you come in, put it around your neck for running errands. So the dog starts doing the wrong thing, you could grab the laser, turn it on, and run him around the corner. Run him to his basket of dog toys. You should have a basket out where all of his dog toys are in. Pick them all up and put them there. That way half the fun for him is going and finding them. So you run him away from the couch over to his things, and he kind of digs in the bucket and then might get distracted. It's a nice way to redirect his attention. You can also use it to exercise him. What we had him do is going up and down the stairs. You do that, try to do at first on the baseboard, not on the actual stairs. And also try to keep it about 2 feet in front of him. The Guardians a lot of times had it right underneath and the dog went too far and they couldn't see it. And don't call for him, just move the laser in front of the dog and try to keep it in slower, kind of more realistic movements. A lot of people do really jagged, and that after a while the dog's like, well, it suddenly moved way too far too fast, I'll never catch it. You want him to have the illusion that he might catch it. Some dogs is not healthy for them to chase the laser. He was fine. His interest level was appropriate. So what I would do is the first time I run him up and down those stairs and count each going down the flight and going back up as 1. And then do that as many times until he just says, I'm done, I'm not coming up. And then count, okay, that was 41 times. So now, maybe we need to get him 21 times throughout the day. Exercise for puppies is best sprinkled, well, really dogs in general, sprinkled throughout the day. So I'd like the Guardians to start an exercise journal. Write down the date at the top, write down the time, how long the walk was, the time, how many up downs on the stairs, the time, how many fetches. If he likes to play fetch, that's a wonderful way of exercising. Another one would be Googling scent games. You can just hide treats throughout your house in a room, put them in the play area, hide a couple treats, and then have him come out and find them. He's using his nose, which makes him use his brain, and that's very mentally draining for him. But at the end of the day, you're gonna put all these annotations of, went for a 20-minute walk, played fetch for 28 times, went up and down the stairs, whatever it was. And remember, anytime he comes up to you, he's being mouthy or really rambunctious, he's jumping up, he's saying, hey, I got too much energy. Can you do something to help me burn it? Yeah, let's do the stairs. Let's do whatever it is. And so write down the time and how many repetitions, anything that's noteworthy, and also write down the times that you feed him. And then what you'll find is or if he has accents to the house, write down the times of those as well. After a while, and at the end of the day, give him a letter grade, A, B, C, D, or F. And if you got a D, anything lower than a B+, then the next day, give him a couple more repetitions at fetch and a whole other up down the stairs. The idea is we want to find the right cocktail or combination of exercises to put him in a position where he's behaving like he is now and he's nice and tranquil and relaxed. But for puppies, they sleep about close to 20 hours a day. You have to sprinkle that exercise throughout the day. What we'll notice is after a while, you know what, every time it's longer than 2 hours or 90 minutes or whatever it is, he gets rambunctious. So now, okay, well now what we're gonna do is every 75 minutes, we're gonna take him out for one of these exercise components and beat him to the punch. Then by the end of the day, we've depleted all his excess energy. He feels nice and he's a lot easier for us to deal with. And again, we have the long-term confinement area as well. Don't put him in there as a substitute for exercise though. I mean, if anything, you would exercise him before you put him there. Otherwise, he'll just try to get out of there. But burning off your dog's excess energy won't solve problems, but it'll make solving problems much easier. Actually, for the puppy, in some cases, actually can solve the problems. Now, come up with a fun, I think the Guardians can use the word Paris for there. So same sort of thing. Go in there, toss a toy or a treat in there, and every time he goes in there, licks it up, say the word Paris. Or you could actually, since for the mega esophagus, better for him to be up, maybe have one of you lead him to the doorway to go in there, and then the other one is you standing on the side. When he comes over to you, pop the treat in his mouth so his nose is up, and then you can say the word Paris. So one of you leads him in there, he comes in and walks straight to the wall, and then you say Paris, and he gets that treat. Eventually you say Paris, and he'll know that means to go in there. I'm trying to think. I think that's pretty much it. Anything else I missed?
think that's all.
All right.
Yeah.
This is why I do these videos. There's a lot in here.
Yeah.
Now, my clients that get the best results, everybody wants to watch the videos right away, but this video specifically is going to have all these little tips. Petting with the purpose and passive training and the exercises are the things I want you guys to focus on the most. The petting with the purpose and passive training will take you a month to get in the habit of doing that. After that, you should get in the habit and do it for the rest of your dog's life. Oh, also remember to use your hand, 45-degree bend so that you're like this, and curl your fingers up. If he's not coming, say come. As soon as he looks at you, start going down to the floor. You use your kissing sound like as your affirmation or to get his attention. So if he's not coming, then make a kiss. When he looks at you, start lowering your hand all the way to the floor. All right, so again, petting with the purpose of passive training, really focus on those. Use those watchword, paycheck or recognize, so we're using those. Come up with funny command words. And we'll talk about this in puppy class, but try to, instead of saying kennel, call it palace. Instead of saying lay down, say crash. Instead of saying poop, say Putin. And so coming up with these fun command words will help put a smile on everybody else's face. It provides added motivation for the dog. It makes the dog want to do the things you want it to do. That exercise journal, keep that for about a month. After about a month, you should have enough data and know what exercise you need to get him. And use the retractable leash at the park that's really close by. And that way you can run around a little bit. But try to set up those puppy play dates with the people in the Facebook group. All right, and then yeah, I went over feeding in this one as well. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So basically, if you guys have any, watch these videos. You'll want to watch them right away, but set a date to maybe come back around Halloween and watch this video again a month from now. Because there'll be a whole lot of little things, little tips that I've covered in this video that you're going to forget, and it'll be a nice refresher. Now, if you have any questions after this, please message me. Text me is the fastest way to reach me. I go to California 1 week a month. When I'm there, I'm hard to reach. But you're also going to have 2 wonderful puppy class instructors, Lori and Taylor. And so anytime you have questions about stuff, pull them aside during the socialization period during class and say, hey, I had a question about this. What would you suggest for this? You're going to see them more often. You're going to see me. So please pick their brains. They're great. I've selected them because they're awesome with dogs, and I've been training them so they have a lot of the same skills that I have, and they can answer most of the questions. Anything they can't, message me directly. All right, let me see if we can get a puppy call coming. This is the last little tip. If you have a dog that came from a good breeder, when the breeders bring out their food, they typically say, puppy, 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 in a high-pitched voice like that. Now he's looking at me. I'll start lowering my hand. We'll see if we can get him to come up here. Oops. Oh, yeah, that was a pretty good one. All right, buddy, come on up here. Let's get you all the way up so they can see your pretty face. Handsome, I should say. This is Captain. And if his guardians had not saved him, he would have been euthanized as a puppy because of the mega esophagus. So you got some really good people. They're a little bit frustrated with you at times, but they're going to stick it out with you, buddy, and your puppy class is going to help you. Well, this is Captain, and this is Captain's Roadmap to Success. Remember, everything you do trains your dog. Only sometimes you mean it.